Have you ever felt like your life ended at 50? That everything good already happened and now you're just existing? I want to tell you about Iris Marlowe, a woman who thought she'd run out of chances. But sometimes life begins exactly when we think it's over. Before we start, if you're listening while cooking, driving, or just relaxing, leave a comment and let me know where you are. And hit subscribe. You won't want to miss stories that touch the heart like this one. Now let me take you to Seattle, to a Wednesday morning in October, to a diner where hope had gone to die. The coffee pot was heavy in Iris Marlowe's hands, 52 years old, and her fingers still trembled by the end of each shift. Arthritis, the doctor said. Early onset. Just another gift from 3 decades of waitressing. The breakfast rush had finally died down. Iris leaned against the counter, massaging her swollen knees through her polyester uniform. The fabric was pilling. She'd been meaning to replace it for 6 months, but new uniforms cost $40, and $40 meant Theo couldn't have new shoes this month. Miss Marlowe? The manager, 28, fresh from business school, approached with that expression, the one that said she was about to make Iris's day worse. We need to talk about your schedule. Iris straightened. I was only 10 minutes late. Theo's bus. It's the 3rd time this month. The girl's voice carried that particular mix of pity and authority that made Iris's skin crawl. We've talked about reliability. Reliability. Iris had been reliable for 30 years. Reliable when her husband Richard died 4 years ago, leaving her with $80,000 in debt. Reliable when she had to sell their house. Reliable through every double shift, every aching muscle, every moment she thought her body might simply give up. But 10 minutes late? That was unreliable. I understand, Iris said quietly, because what else could she say? Jobs were scarce for 52-year-old women with arthritis and a 9-year-old son. It won't happen again. The manager nodded, already walking away. Crisis managed, employee properly disciplined. Iris returned to refilling sugar dispensers. Her hands moved on autopilot. Sugar, coffee, ketchup, the holy trinity of diner work. She could do this in her sleep. Sometimes she wondered if she was already sleeping, and this was just a dream that never ended. Her phone buzzed. A text from Theo. Mom, when are you home? I'm hungry. She glanced at the clock. 2 more hours until her shift ended, then the bus ride, then figuring out what to make with the food stamps that never quite stretched far enough. Soon, baby, she texted back. Love you. The bell over the door chimed. More customers, more coffee, more smiles she didn't feel. This was her life. This was all her life would ever be, until the letter arrived. Iris didn't check the mail every day, usually just bills she couldn't pay, or advertisements for things she couldn't afford. But that evening, standing in the lobby of her apartment building, elevator still broken after 8 months, she found an envelope that didn't belong. Thick cream paper. Expensive. The kind you saw in movies about people whose lives mattered. Hoffman and Associates, attorneys at law, Anchorage, Alaska. Alaska. Iris had never been to Alaska. Didn't know anyone in Alaska. She climbed the 4 flights to her apartment, Theo's backpack bouncing against her hip. Inside, their small space smelled like the neighbor's cooking, something with garlic that made her stomach growl. Mom? Theo looked up from his library book. 9 years old, already wearing the careful expression of children who've learned that life is fragile. You okay? Fine, sweetheart. She set down her bag, staring at the envelope. Her hands shook as she opened it. Not from arthritis this time, from something else. Something that felt dangerously like possibility. Dear Miss Marlowe, it is our duty to inform you of the passing of Mrs. Vivian Ashford, your maternal grandmother. Grandmother. The word felt foreign. Iris's mother had mentioned her mother exactly 3 times in Iris's entire childhood. Always with bitterness, always with the same phrase. She chose herself over family. The letter continued. Property in Alaska, 12 acres, a structure described as a residential treehouse, and a warning. Before entering the attic, please read her final letter to you. It is in the safe. The combination is your birth date. Her birth date. A woman she'd never met knew her birth date. Iris read the letter twice. 3 times. Theo appeared at her elbow. What is it? I think, Iris's voice caught. I think your great-grandmother left us something. She pulled out her phone, called the number she hadn't dialed in 15 years. Her mother answered on the 4th ring. Iris, cold, clipped. What do you want? Mom, I got a letter about Vivian Ashford. Your mother, I have nothing to say about that woman. But she left me property. I just wanted to know. She left you nothing that matters. She left me when I was 8 years old. Chose a forest in Alaska over her own daughter. Her mother's voice cracked. Don't expect anything from people like that. I'm not expecting anything. The line went dead. Iris stood there, phone pressed to her ear, listening to silence. The same silence that had defined her relationship with her mother for decades. The same silence that had defined her marriage to Richard for the last 10 years of his life. Silence and distance. The Marlowe family inheritance. Theo tugged her sleeve. Mom, are we going to Alaska? Iris looked at her son, at his too-thin frame in the thrift store jacket, at the worry already creasing his young face. She opened her banking app. Balance, 1,240. Tickets to Juneau, 680 for 2. It was insane. She'd be broke, might lose her job. They could get stranded in Alaska with no money to get home. But Iris was suddenly, desperately weary of being sensible. Yeah, baby, she said softly. We're going to Alaska. The plane descended through clouds so thick Iris couldn't see the wings. Theo slept against her shoulder, worn out from the pre-dawn departure. Iris hadn't slept. She'd spent 6 hours reading and rereading Vivian's letter, trying to understand why a woman she'd never met would leave her anything, trying to understand the warning about the attic, trying to understand why her chest felt tight with something that might have been hope. The clouds broke. Below them, mountains rose like ancient gods against an endless sky. Forests spread in every direction, dark green deepening to black, dusted with early snow. Rivers threaded through valleys like veins of silver. It looked untouched, eternal, beautiful in a way that made Iris want to cry. Wow, Theo whispered, awake now. It's like another world. Juneau was smaller than Seattle's airport. The rental car agency was a single desk, staffed by a woman in her mid-40s, who looked at Iris's requested address and frowned. Ashford property? That's quite a drive, honey. Is it far? 2 hours northeast. Roads get rough this time of year. The woman studied Iris, taking in the discount jeans, the worn jacket, the bone-deep weariness written in every line of her face. Vivian Ashford was your grandmother. I never met her. Something shifted in the woman's expression, softening. Vivian was a legend around here, lived alone for 50 years in that treehouse she built. People respected her, even if we didn't always understand her. What was she like? The woman handed over keys. Strong, sad maybe, but strong. She paused. She used to come into town once a month, always alone, but she'd smile at everyone, ask how their families were. She remembered everything, every name, every grandchild, every anniversary. My mom said she abandoned her family. Maybe she did. The woman's voice was gentle. But sometimes people leave because staying would destroy them. Only they know which. Iris drove northeast into wilderness that swallowed the road. Theo pressed his face to the window, watching mountains rise higher, forests grow denser. The paved road became gravel, then dirt, then barely a path. Snow began to fall. Mom, Theo said quietly, what if there's nothing there? Iris gripped the steering wheel. Then we go home, and we keep going. We're good at that. She'd been telling herself that for 4 years, since Richard's heart attack, since the debt collector started calling, since she realized her marriage had been dying long before her husband did. We're good at keeping going, but what if she was tired of just surviving? What if she wanted to actually live? The GPS lost signal. Iris followed handwritten directions from the lawyer. Turn at the fallen cedar, continue 5 miles. You'll know it when you see it. She almost missed it. Through the curtain of falling snow, A structure rose between the trees. Not a cabin. Something else entirely. Iris stopped the car, sat there, engine idling, staring. The treehouse rose 50 feet into the air, built around three massive pines that served as its foundation. Wooden platforms connected different levels. Stairs spiraled up the nearest trunk. Windows, actual glass windows, glowed softly in the dimming light. It looked like something from a fairy tale, like something that shouldn't exist in the real world. "Holy crap," Iris whispered. "Mom!" Theo's eyes were wide. "You swore!" "I know, I'm sorry. But Theo, look at it." There was movement at the base of the structure. A figure, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a flannel jacket, splitting wood with an axe. Iris's heart jumped. She reached for her phone. No signal. The figure looked up, saw their car, set down the axe and started walking toward them. Iris grabbed Theo's hand. "Stay close to me." The man approached through the snow. Late 40s maybe. Salt and pepper hair, weathered face, kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "You must be Iris," he said. "Vivian said you'd come eventually." "Who are you?" "Daniel Beckett, sheriff for this district, also Vivian's friend for the last 20 years. He extended a hand through the window. "She asked me to maintain the place after she passed. Said her granddaughter would need it when the time was right." Iris shook his hand automatically. "She knew about me?" "She knew everything about you, Iris." His voice was gentle. "She just couldn't reach out. Not until now." The inside of the treehouse was warm. Not just temperature, though a fire crackled in a massive stone fireplace, but warm in the way homes are supposed to feel. Like someone loved the space. Like every book on the floor-to-ceiling shelves had been chosen with care. Like every piece of furniture had a story. Iris stood in the center of the main room, turning slowly. Theo had already found the ladder to the upper level, his excited footsteps echoing overhead. Daniel set down the firewood he'd brought in. "She passed 3 months ago, peacefully in her sleep. Left everything ready for you." "I don't understand." Iris touched the spine of a book. Mary Oliver, Dreamwork. "Why me? Why now?" "That's in her letters. She left you." He gestured to a bedroom visible through an archway. "Quite a lot, actually." Iris walked into the bedroom. Simple. A bed with a handmade quilt, a dresser, a closet. But on the dresser sat a photograph in a silver frame. A woman holding a little girl. The woman was young, late 20s, with dark hair and intense eyes. The girl was perhaps 4 years old, laughing at something off camera. Iris picked up the frame with trembling hands, turned it over. Handwriting on the back. Vivian and Stella, age 4, 1968. Stella, Iris's mother. In the photo, Vivian was smiling. Not posed, genuinely happy. The kind of smile that reached the eyes and transformed a face. "Your grandmother kept this on her bedside table," Daniel said quietly from the doorway. "Every day for 50 years, that was the last thing she saw before sleeping, and the first thing she saw when waking. My mother said she abandoned them." "There are two sides to every story." Daniel checked his watch. "I should head back before the roads get worse. But Iris?" He met her eyes. "Whatever Vivian left you, letters, property, whatever, it's because she believed you'd understand. She believed you needed what she learned." After he left, Iris found the safe exactly where the letter said it would be, hidden in the bedroom closet behind a panel that looked like wall. The combination was her birth date, March 15th, 1973. The safe clicked open. Inside, a stack of letters bound with string, a leather journal, spine cracked from use, a small velvet box, and on top a single envelope marked, "Read this first." Iris sat on the bed. Theo appeared in the doorway. "Mom, you okay?" "Come here, sweetheart." He curled up beside her. Together they opened Vivian's final letter. "My dearest Iris, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Perhaps that's for the best. Some conversations are easier when one person can no longer argue back. Your mother told you I abandoned her. In her truth, she's right. I left when she was 8 years old. I left my marriage, my daughter, My entire life in Seattle. I came here to this forest, and I didn't look back. But let me tell you my truth. I was 28 years old, married to a man who loved control more than he loved me. Your grandfather, James Ashford, was a businessman, powerful, respected, also violent, though only behind closed doors. For 10 years, I tried to be the wife he wanted, quiet, obedient, perfect. But I was dying inside, Iris. Dying so slowly I didn't even notice until I woke up one morning and couldn't remember the last time I'd smiled. Your mother was 8. I had a choice. Stay and teach her that a woman's purpose is to endure, or leave and show her, someday, somehow, that a woman can save herself. I chose to leave. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. James poisoned her against me, told her I was selfish, crazy, unfit. By the time she was 18, she wouldn't take my calls. By the time she was 30, she'd married someone just like her father. I'm sorry I couldn't save her. But maybe, just maybe, I can save you. You're 52 now. Yes, I've been following your life from afar. A grandmother's love doesn't need proximity. Your husband passed 4 years ago. I know you're struggling. I know you blame yourself for the distance in your marriage. I know you think it's too late for happiness. But darling, you can still begin. I found peace at 78. You have 26 more years ahead of me. In this house, there are secrets. There's also money, enough to change your life. But more importantly, there's proof that women like us don't have to settle, don't have to endure, don't have to wait for permission to live. Read my journals. Learn from my mistakes. And when you're ready, choose yourself. With all the love I couldn't give you in person, Vivian Iris's hands shook so badly the letter rustled like leaves. Tears ran down her face, hot and fast, the kind of crying that came from somewhere deep and broken. Mom? Theo's voice was small, scared. I'm okay, baby. She pulled him close, breathing in his kid smell of library books and strawberry shampoo. I'm just your great-grandmother. She was like me. Like you how? How could she explain to a 9-year-old that she'd stayed with Richard even when love died because she was terrified of being alone? That she'd endured his cold silences, his dismissive comments, his slow withdrawal from their marriage because she thought that's what wives did? That she'd been dying slowly, just like Vivian? She was brave, Iris finally said, when I haven't been. That night, while Theo slept in the second bedroom, Iris sat by the fire and opened Vivian's journals. But first, she explored. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. Have you ever discovered that someone was watching over you from afar? Someone who cared but couldn't tell you? Share your story in the comments. And if you're enjoying this, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that touch the heart. The upper level held 2 more bedrooms and a bathroom with a deep clawfoot tub. Theo had claimed the smaller bedroom, already arranging his few belongings on the dresser. Iris found a third ladder. This one led to an attic space under the peaked roof. Before entering the attic, please read her final letter. She'd read the letter, so she climbed. The attic was smaller than the other rooms. Slanted ceiling, one circular window looking out into the forest, and everywhere. Boxes, dozens of them, carefully labeled in Vivian's handwriting. Photos, 1950, 1970, Stella. Childhood drawings, my work, unpublished family recipes in one box, separate from the others, for Iris, her childhood. Iris opened it with shaking hands. Inside, a child's drawing of a house. Crayon, messy, unmistakably drawn by a very young hand. At the bottom, wobbly letters. Iris, age 5. A photograph fell out. A little girl, maybe 5 years old, standing on the treehouse porch. Dark hair and pigtails, serious eyes. She was holding an older woman's hand. Iris turned it over. Vivian's handwriting. Iris, age 5, summer 1978. Her only visit. The world tilted. She'd been here before. To this treehouse. With Vivian. But she had no memory of it. None at all. Iris scrambled through the box. More photos. Her at the table, eating pancakes. Her climbing a tree. Her asleep on the couch, Vivian reading nearby. A letter, addressed to someone named Margaret. Dear Margaret, she came. Stella brought her for 1 week while James was traveling. Didn't tell him, of course. Little Iris is beautiful, shy, so much like Stella was at that age. I taught her to identify birds, to climb trees, to believe in magic. When Stella took her home, Iris cried, asked when she could come back. I said soon, knowing it was a lie. Stella called 3 days later, said James found out, that he'd forbidden any future contact, that if I tried to see Iris again, he'd make sure I never saw Stella either. So I let her go. My granddaughter. I let her go. And I pray she remembers me. Somewhere deep down, I pray she remembers that someone once showed her she was magic. Iris sat on the attic floor, surrounded by evidence of a week she couldn't remember. A week that had existed, that had mattered. Her grandfather had erased it, stolen it, but Vivian had kept it, preserved every moment. Mom, Theo's voice came from below. You okay up there? Yeah, baby. Iris wiped her eyes. Just finding things. She climbed down with the photo, showed Theo. That's you. His eyes widened. You came here before? I guess I did. I don't remember, but she did. Iris looked at the photo, at 5-year-old her, holding Vivian's hand, smiling. For the first time in years, maybe ever, Iris felt like she belonged somewhere. She spent the next hours reading Vivian's journals. May 12th, 1968. Father died today. Black lung finally took him after 41 years in the mines. I buried him next to Mother in the Riverside Cemetery. The mine foreman came to the funeral, had the gall to offer me Father's job. Said I knew the tunnels well enough, having grown up playing in them while Father worked. I laughed in his face, but I can't shake Father's last words. He grabbed my hand and said, Vivian, there's a vein in the eastern tunnel. I never told them about it. It's not copper. It's something else. Something that would bring vultures from every corner. Promise me you'll leave it buried. Promise me you'll protect it. I promised, but God help me, I'm curious. December 3rd, 1968, I went into the mine. Took me 2 days to dig through the cave-in Father deliberately created to hide it. When I finally squeezed through, I understood why he made me promise. Diamonds. A vein of raw diamonds embedded in kimberlite, running through the bedrock like stars trapped in stone. I'm no geologist, but even I can see the potential. Millions of dollars worth, maybe tens of millions. Enough to transform this entire region. Enough to destroy it. I've seen what gold rushes do, what oil booms do. The land gets torn apart. The locals get pushed out. Everything wild and beautiful gets sacrificed to greed. Father was right. This has to stay buried. But simply leaving it isn't enough. I need to protect it, guard it. I need to disappear. March 15th, 1973. Today is Iris's first birthday. I called the house, James answered. Hung up the moment he heard my voice. I wanted to tell Stella happy birthday for becoming a mother. Tell her I'm proud. Tell her I love her. Instead, I'm here, in Alaska, building a treehouse over the place where Father's secret lies buried. Some days I think I'm insane. Some days I think I'm the only sane person left. Today I don't know which. The journals spanned 50 years. Iris read through the night, watching Vivian's life unfold. The treehouse took 2 years to build. Vivian did most of it herself, hauling lumber, learning engineering from library books, designing a structure that was part home, part fortress, part sanctuary. She homesteaded the land, claimed surface rights, made it legally impossible for anyone to access the mine beneath without coming through her property first. And she waited. In 1978, Northridge Mining Corporation discovered rumors of diamonds. They did seismic surveys without permits. Vivian documented everything. In January 1982, those surveys triggered an avalanche. 3 people died, treasure hunters who'd come looking for Father's mine. The company covered it up, blamed natural causes, paid off investigators. Vivian collected evidence for years, internal memos, geological reports. Proof of corporate negligence. Proof of manslaughter. But she never went public. April 7, 2005. I'm 78 years old today. Gerald Voss, one of the executives who ordered the illegal surveys, killed himself last week. His son Marcus called me, blamed me for his father's death. Said if I'd just sold the land, none of this would have happened. Maybe he's right, but selling wouldn't bring back those 3 people, wouldn't fix what Northridge did. I've carried this secret for 37 years. Some days it feels like punishment, other days like purpose. I don't know anymore. September 30th, 2024. My last entry. The cancer's back. The doctor says weeks, maybe days. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of leaving this unfinished. But then I think of Iris, my granddaughter, Stella's daughter. I've watched her from afar for 52 years. Watched her marry a man like her father. Watched her endure. But I've also watched her survive. Keep going. Protect her son with a fierceness I recognize. She has my strength. She just doesn't know it yet. So I'm leaving her everything. The treehouse, the truth, the choice. Let her decide what to do with this burden, this legacy. Let her prove what women like us are capable of. Iris closed the journal as dawn broke. Golden light streamed through the windows. She understood now. The inheritance wasn't money. It was permission. Permission to be brave. Permission to put herself first. Permission to believe she was worth saving. She made coffee, watched Theo sleep, thought about the choice ahead, and then at noon, she made a decision. She was going to see what was in the chamber. The trap door was exactly where Vivian's journal said it would be, beneath the floorboards near the fireplace, hidden under a rug. Iris pulled it open. Darkness gaped below. 17 stone steps descended into warmth. The air smelled like minerals and old earth. At the bottom, a chamber. Walls of ice, thick, clear ice that glowed faintly blue. The temperature was warm, above freezing. The ice shouldn't exist, but did. In the center of the room, 8 wooden crates. Iris opened the first one. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, diamonds. Rough, uncut, irregular. Maybe 50 stones. She picked one up. Heavy, dense. Worth more than she'd make in a lifetime of waitressing. Theo had followed her down. "Mom, what is all this?" "Your great-grandmother's secret." Iris opened the second crate. More diamonds. The third, the fourth. By the 5th crate, she found a note. "If you found these, good. You're smart, but not smart enough yet. These are the decoy. The real treasure is deeper. Look down." Iris looked. In the center of the chamber, obscured by the crates, a well, a shaft descending into darkness. She pulled out her phone, turned on the flashlight, shone it down. 50 feet below, more crates, dozens of them, stacked floor to ceiling in a second chamber, and beside them, metal boxes, documents, evidence. "Oh my God," Iris whispered. This wasn't just a fortune. This was Vivian's entire life. Everything she'd protected, everything she'd sacrificed for. $215 million in diamonds, and proof that killed 3 people. Iris sat on the edge of the well, legs dangling into darkness. "What are you going to do?" Theo asked. "I don't know yet, baby. I don't know." That afternoon, Daniel returned, brought groceries, fresh wood, and news. "Marcus Voss is in town," he said quietly. "He knows you're here." "Who's Marcus Voss?" "The son of the man who tried to force Vivian off this land 40 years ago. He's been trying to buy the property since she died." Daniel met her eyes. "He knows about the diamonds, Iris, and he knows you have the evidence against his father's company." Iris felt ice in her stomach. What does he want? To clear his father's name. Gerald Voss, Marcus's father, was mid-level management at Northridge when the avalanche happened. The executives above him ordered the illegal surveys. When people died, they blamed Gerald, destroyed him. He killed himself in 2005. And Marcus thinks getting the evidence will help? Marcus thinks destroying it will help. If there's no proof, people might believe his father was innocent. Was he? Daniel pulled out a folder. Vivian thought so. She found memos Gerald wrote, warning the executives. They ignored him. That night, Iris couldn't sleep. She lay in bed thinking about Gerald Voss, about a man who tried to do the right thing and been destroyed for it, about his son, spending 20 years trying to save a dead man's reputation, about justice and mercy, and whether you could have both. Around midnight, she heard it. Glass breaking. Downstairs. Iris's heart stopped. She grabbed her phone. No signal. Grabbed Theo from his bed. Stay quiet, she whispered. Footsteps below. Heavy, male, moving through the main room. She crept to the ladder opening, looked down. A figure in dark clothes. Not Marcus. Someone younger. Rougher. Searching through Vivian's papers. He found the safe. Open. Empty. Iris had moved everything to the bedroom. The man cursed. Pulled out a phone. It's not here. She must have it. Started climbing the ladder. Iris looked at Theo. At the window. At the rope ladder Daniel had mentioned. Emergency exit. Go, she whispered. Out the window. Run to town. Get Daniel. Mom. Go. Theo climbed out into darkness. Iris waited until she heard him hit the ground, then made noise. The man's head appeared through the floor opening. You must be Iris. She stood her ground, backing toward the fireplace. Get out of my house. He smiled, climbing up fully. Big, intimidating. I just want the documents. The ones your grandma kept. Hand them over. Nobody gets hurt. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play stupid. Evidence about the avalanche. About Northridge. Iris's hand found the fireplace poker behind her back. You need to leave. Now. He laughed, moved toward her. She swung. The poker caught his shoulder. He yelped, stumbled backward. Sirens, red and blue lights outside. The man ran for the window, disappeared into darkness. Daniel burst through the door, gun drawn. Iris! Theo came running! Are you okay? She dropped the poker, started shaking. Someone broke in, looking for Vivian's documents. Daniel pulled her close. You're safe now. You're safe. But Iris knew. This was just beginning. Sometimes, the hardest choices aren't between right and wrong. They're between two different kinds of right. What would you choose? Protecting your family or seeking justice for strangers? Let me know in the comments. The town of Riverside had 800 residents. Margaret's Bakery, Pastor Ellen's Episcopal Church, Frank's hardware store, and a sense of community that Iris had never experienced. Daniel introduced her to everyone the next day, and everyone, it seemed, had a Vivian story. Margaret, 72 years old with kind eyes. She came every month for sourdough, never talked much. But one time my husband died. Vivian showed up with a casserole and stayed for 3 hours. Didn't say a word, just sat with me while I cried. Pastor Ellen, 65 and sharp. Your grandmother donated anonymously to our food bank for 30 years. Only found out after she passed. She lived alone, but she wasn't selfish. Just chose a different way to serve. Frank, 68 and weathered. Vivian taught me sustainable building. That treehouse is a marvel. She said someday her granddaughter would come, that you'd need community when you got here. They welcomed Iris like she'd always belonged, and for the first time in her adult life, Iris felt seen. Marcus Voss arrived on Thursday afternoon. Black SUV, expensive suit, weary eyes. He was 55 maybe, graying at the temples, lines around his mouth that spoke of years carrying heavy things. Iris met him on the treehouse porch. Theo was at the library with Margaret. She was alone. Miss Marlowe. His voice was surprisingly gentle. I'm Marcus Voss. I represent what's left of Northridge Mining Corporation. I know who you are. Your man broke into my house last night. Marcus's face went pale. What? I didn't send anyone. I swear. I came to talk, that's all. Something in his voice made Iris believe him. May I sit? He asked. Against her better judgment, she nodded. He pulled out a folder, spread photographs across the table. This is my father, Gerald Voss. He was 45 in this photo, mid-level manager at Northridge. Good man, loved his family, went to church every Sunday. Iris said nothing. In 1981, executives above him ordered illegal seismic testing. My father wrote 3 memos warning them of the dangers, told them the mountain was unstable, that people could die. He showed her the memos. Faded copies. This survey pattern will destabilize the slope. Recommend postponing until spring when snowpack is reduced. G. Voss, November 1981. They ignored him. When the avalanche happened and 3 people died, the executives blamed him, said he'd been in charge of safety, fired him, blacklisted him, destroyed his reputation. Marcus's hands shook slightly. My father spent 20 years trying to clear his name, started drinking, lost everything, killed himself when I was 35, left a note saying he couldn't live with people thinking he was a murderer. I'm sorry, Iris said quietly. I've spent the last 20 years trying to finish what he couldn't. I found most of the truth, but Vivian had the smoking gun, proof that the executives knew, that they ordered it anyway, that my father tried to stop them. He looked at her, really looked. I'll give you $80 million, almost half the diamond value, if you give me those documents. Let me clear my father's name before I die too. Iris thought about Richard, how he'd died suddenly, how she'd never told him she forgave him for the cold years, how some ghosts never rest. What about the families of the people who died, she asked. I've compensated them privately, anonymous donations, college funds for their grandchildren. It's not enough, but it's something. Does that ease your conscience? His eyes filled with tears. Nothing eases my conscience, Miss Marlowe. I just want my father to rest in peace. Iris stood. I need to think about this. That night she called a meeting. Daniel, Margaret, Pastor Ellen, Frank. The people who'd known Vivian. The people who were becoming her people. She explained everything. The diamonds, the evidence, Marcus's offer, the break-in. Margaret spoke first. Honey, $80 million? That's Theo's future, his college, everything you've ever struggled for. Frank countered, but those 3 families never got real justice, never knew why their loved ones died. Pastor Ellen, thoughtful, truth and mercy must both be served. Maybe there's a third way? Daniel was quiet. Finally, Iris, what would let you sleep at night? Not Vivian, not us. You. What can you live with? Iris closed her eyes. She thought about Richard, about all the years she'd stayed in a dying marriage because she was scared of being alone, scared of not being enough. If she took Marcus's money and buried the truth, she'd still be that scared person. I want Theo to see his mother be brave, she said, not just hear about it. See it? She opened her eyes. I'm going to the FBI with everything, all the evidence. Daniel smiled, but Iris wasn't finished. I'm also going to testify that Marcus's father tried to stop it, that he was a scapegoat, that the real criminals were the executives who gave the orders. Everyone stared. Vivian's documents prove it. Gerald Voss warned them 3 times. They ignored him, then destroyed his life when it went wrong. He deserves to have his name cleared, and so does Marcus. But the money? Margaret asked. I'll keep enough for Theo's education and our security. $5 million. The rest, Iris took a breath, $50 million to the avalanche victims' families. $50 million to workers harmed by Northridge. $50 million to environmental restoration in Alaska. $50 million to women's shelters in Vivian's name. She looked at each of them. And $10 million to transform the Treehouse into a haven for women leaving abusive relationships. Free programs. A place to heal and start over. Pastor Ellen wiped her eyes. Vivian would be incredibly proud. The next morning, Iris met Marcus again. I'm going to the FBI, she said, with everything. His face crumpled. But, Iris continued, I'm also testifying that your father tried to stop it. The documents prove he warned the executives. He wasn't complicit. He was a whistleblower they destroyed to protect themselves. Marcus stared at her. What? Your father was a good man caught in a corrupt system. He tried to do the right thing. The evidence proves it. She handed him copies of his father's memos. These will clear his name. Marcus took the pages with trembling hands, read them, started crying, deep, wrenching sobs that shook his whole body. When he finally looked up, His face had changed. Lighter somehow. Released. Why would you do this for me? Because justice isn't about revenge. It's about truth. All of it. Your father's truth, the victim's truth, everyone's. He stood, extended his hand. I'll testify too, against the company, against the executives who destroyed my father. I'll help you however I can. The diamonds, keep them. Use them the way you said. Make something good from all this terrible. He wiped his eyes. My father would have liked you, Miss Marlowe. You're like Vivian, stubborn, but fair. They shook hands, not as enemies, as two people who'd been carrying ghosts, helping each other lay them to rest. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to ask, have you ever chosen what was right over what was easy? Share your story below. And please subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it. October again. Leaves turning gold in the forest around the treehouse. Iris stood on the main platform, coffee in hand, watching sunrise paint the mountains pink and gold. 2 years since she'd opened Vivian's letter. 2 years since everything changed. The FBI investigation took 18 months. The evidence was overwhelming. 3 Northridge executives prosecuted for manslaughter and obstruction. The company dissolved. $220 million in fines and restitution. Gerald Voss's name was publicly cleared. The court acknowledged he'd tried to prevent the disaster. His grandchildren finally knew their grandfather had been a hero, not a villain. Marcus Voss now did pro bono legal work for Vivian's Haven, became a friend. The treehouse had been transformed. 4 bedrooms, a communal kitchen, a library, a therapy room. Space for women who needed what Vivian had needed 50 years ago. A place to choose themselves. Sarah was the first resident, 38 years old, bruises fading, learning to smile again. Maria came next, 52 like Iris, left her husband after 30 years. If you can start over at 52, so can I, she'd said. Then Jessica, then Patricia, then Emma. Women who thought age had closed their doors, who thought happiness was for younger versions of themselves. Iris ran the program full-time now, trained as a counselor. Learned that healing wasn't about fixing, it was about witnessing, being present, saying, you're not alone, you're enough. Theo was 11, honor student, volunteered at the Haven on weekends, learning from strong women that strength came in many forms. And Daniel. Iris smiled. Daniel was coming for dinner tonight. They'd been dating, slowly, carefully, for 18 months. Both learning that love could be gentler at 50 than at 25, could be built on friendship, on shared grief and shared hope, on choosing each other every day. She heard his truck in the distance. Inside, laughter floated through open windows, the sound of community, of healing, of home. Iris's phone buzzed, an email from her mother, the first real one in 2 years. Iris, I saw the court decision. Read about what you did. I don't understand it. Don't understand you. But maybe I never tried to. I'm proud of you, even if I don't know how to say it right. Mom, not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but a crack in the wall, a beginning. Iris typed back, Mom, you don't have to understand. I just need you to know. Vivian left because she was dying inside. Staying would have killed her. Maybe you can't forgive her. That's okay, but I hope someday you can forgive yourself for not having the mother you deserved. I'm here if you want to talk. No pressure, just here. Love, Iris. She hit send before she could second guess. That night, 9 of them gathered around the table. Iris, Theo, Daniel, 4 current residents. Margaret brought pie. Pastor Ellen said grace. Marcus came too. Each person shared gratitude. Sarah, grateful for Iris showing me strength doesn't mean never being scared. Maria, grateful my daughter sees me choosing myself, setting that example. Theo, grateful mom's brave for real, not just in stories. Daniel looked at Iris. Grateful for second chances. Marcus, quiet. Grateful my father's memory has peace. Finally. Iris's turn. She looked around the table, at these faces, this community, this life built from ruins. I'm grateful, she said, voice thick with emotion, for a grandmother I never knew, who loved me enough to wait 50 years, who taught me that every ending is a starting point. She raised her glass. To Vivian, to all of us, to beginning again. To beginning again, they echoed. Outside, first snow began to fall, soft and white, covering the forest in quiet promise. Inside, warmth, laughter, light spilling from windows. The treehouse stood tall, a beacon, a sanctuary, a home. Iris pulled out her journal that night, began to write. Dear Vivian, 2 years since I read your letter. Since I learned that courage isn't fearlessness, it's choosing love anyway. I chose truth over money, justice over comfort, myself over fear, and I found me. Not the waitress working herself to death, not the widow drowning in guilt, but me, Iris, enough. The women who come here, they remind me of you, of me, of all of us told we weren't enough. We're teaching each other the truth. We always were. Thank you for the inheritance, not the diamonds, the permission to start over, permission to put myself first, permission to be enough. Your grateful granddaughter, Iris. She closed the journal, looked out at snow falling through darkness, and smiled, because she'd learned what Vivian spent 50 years learning. It's never too late to begin. You can start over at any age. You just need permission. And sometimes, the only person who can give you that permission is yourself. Thank you for listening to Iris's story. If you're 50, 60, 70, or any age and feel like your chance has passed, this story is for you. Your life isn't over. Your best chapter might just be beginning. Please subscribe to this channel, share this with the strong women in your life who need to hear it, and tell me in the comments, what will you start today? What permission will you give yourself? See you in the next story. Remember, you've always been enough.